What's up, guys? It's Epic SDG, and welcome to Dragon Age Inquisition. Hey guys, if you like the content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Alright, now let's jump right to the review. And right off the bat, I want to tell you that we're not going to do a multiplayer review. Now, the reason we're not going to do a review of multiplayer, even though you see it in the background, is because we've decided that instead of doing a review for it, we'd rather just show you. So very soon, we'll be streaming a bunch of the multiplayer content directly to our Twitch channel, which should pop up somewhere in the description. Alright, for all you old school fans, this plays a lot like Dragon Age Origins, but really nothing like Dragon Age 2. Now, this game can be played in a few different genres, and I know that sounds a little weird, but it'll make a complete sense in a second. So you can play this game as an action-adventure RPG, almost a turn-based RPG, or a strategy game. And this feels best when you mix all these forms together into one congruent game. And the pause system is what allows this. Now, the pause system has been in all the Dragon Age games in some iteration or the other, but it's most predominantly in Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition. And if you play it properly, you can still play it like Dragon Age 2 if that was your thing, but using the pause system, you can actually bring that element of strategy into the game to allow you to defeat much more difficult enemies. Now, I found the game very fast-paced, and when I was playing through, I had a problem with some of the things that are coming out of the portals, and you'll hear me talk about the portals later in the story, and that's because I wasn't using the pause system. The harder battles they were designed to use the pause system so that you can outmaneuver your enemies. Now, the story is a grade A BioWare tale about the Herald Andraste, who survived a huge explosion caused by someone. The reason I say someone is because I'm still in the early part of the game, and in the early part of the game, you're basically trying to get allies to help you fight this shit. And you can't pick everybody, that's the bad part about it. Just like a classic game of choice made by BioWare, you can't get everyone. You can only get specific people, and getting certain people block you from getting other people because their ideals just don't clash. Now, this game obviously has many classic RPG elements and a lot of action thrown in, but the game feels much slower in combat compared to previous versions. Now, this is not a bad thing, since a lot of people didn't like the fast combat in Dragon Age 2, and I feel like they attempted to slow it down to bring it more in line with Origins, but it just feels really methodical, and I think that's what it's supposed to be. This game can be played as an action hack and slash, or it can be played as a thinking man's game, and you'll hear me refer back to that a lot. Now, the story takes a while to take off, and that's because the opening area is really big. But once the story gets its claws in you, it grips you and it roots you firmly in the lore of the game. And it even refers back to the other games, especially when they start talking about Grey Wardens. And any Dragon Age fan knows what a Grey Warden is, so I'm not going to get all the way into that. Now, the missions seem a bit long-winded early on, but this is more of a content per hour issue as opposed to a pacing issue. And the game's been going for about 3.5 years, so maybe close to 4. I'm not really sure. But what they want to do is they want to shove all the lore back down your throat, so you can get back into what was happening in the first couple of games. But it doesn't feel forced, which is good. I mean, it's a lot to take in, but it doesn't feel like they're trying to overwhelm you with information. There's just a bunch of different ways to pick it up, in books and talking to side characters, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of lore in this universe, a lot. And it thoroughly deserves to be explored. Now, as I said a couple of times, the starting area is very large compared to other areas in the game. And you can waste 20 plus hours here, just in the starting area. And a lot of people complained about this, but the reason they complained is because they were being a little not paying attention, we'll put it like that. Because the whole thing is you play the star area to level up, then you leave, but people weren't leaving. And it gets interesting if you play through all of the missions, because you can't do all of them unless you get some really lucky loot drops. But what you want to do, what I did is I stayed there for maybe 10 or 15 hours. And the reason I stayed there that long is because I like to overlevel. Now, that's going to make some part of the game suck a little bit, because I'll be stronger than the ambient creatures that are around me, but that's not a big deal to me, because I'm playing this for the story, not the game. So Now, another thing you should watch out for, and I didn't realize this, was there is a red dragon in the starting area somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where. Just be careful. It is there, and it is dangerous. It's the hardest thing I fought, and I think I was a level 10 or level 12, a level 10, 11 party, and I had all heavy hitters, and I couldn't even really put a dent in it. It's just not recommended to fight this thing earlier. Now, this game has a bit of a different lore sense to it, and the reason I say that is because you have your own army, complete with generals and diplomats, and it feels really cool to be able to send your generals on specific missions so that you can get new loot items or open up new areas or tackle. And the cool thing is there's 3 people. You have 3 generals. You have a general that basically is a real general. You have a spy master, and you have a diplomat. And depending on who you send, it will change the lore ever so gently, because those 3 people will handle stuff differently. Your spy master will take the sneaky route, sending in scouts and stuff. Your diplomat will obviously try to be more diplomatic. Your general will go balls to the wall and try and kill everything in the fastest manner possible, just to make it work for him. And I think that's really interesting because it gives you more of a hand in the lore. Now, obviously, because it's a BioWare game, you can dictate the lore of the story, and there's a lot of general lore, and the specialized lore is the stuff that you can make changes to, and I've always been a huge fan of that. Now, at this stage of the game, I have one big gripe, and like I said, I'm only like 10, maybe 11 hours in, and the gripe is you can't play as Liliana. Now, in case you didn't know, Liliana is your spy master, and she seems to have a romance tree open, possibly, but you can't play as her. And like I said, at least this stage of the game, I can't play as her, and she is one of my favorite characters from Dragon Age, period. I hope this changes somewhere in the future, because I would love nothing more than to run around with my spy master and having her destroy things. And I actually asked her to join my party, and she basically said no, because we would be crippled if she was out in the field. Hopefully, I can get her to love me, and she will change her mind. Now, that's all I actually have for Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age Inquisition. And this is SDG signing out. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.